Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. A bold Canadian Prime Minister strides onto the global stage, shaking hands with European leaders, sealing multi-billion-dollar deals that promise to reshape the world's energy landscape and secure a brighter future for his nation. It sounds like the stuff of political triumphs, right? A victory lap that could cement a legacy. But what if I told you that this very move, hailed as a masterstroke, is unraveling faster than a poorly tied knot, sparking international backlash, domestic fury, and exposing deep-seated vulnerabilities in Canada's global ambitions? Buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the explosive story of Prime Minister Mark Carney's European tour, a tale of high-stakes partnerships, submarine showdowns, and a natural gas deal that's turning into a geopolitical nightmare. This isn't just news. It's a riveting drama of ambition, miscalculation, and the harsh realities of international power plays. Stick around till the end, because by the time we're done, you'll see why this could be the defining moment that tests Carney's leadership like never before. Let's set the scene in Berlin, where Prime Minister Mark Carney touched down this morning, greeted by the crisp autumn air and the weight of expectations. Germany, a powerhouse in Europe, has been at the forefront of a seismic shift, diversifying its supply chains away from the shadows of China and Russia. For years, these nations have held a vice-like grip on critical minerals and energy resources, leaving Western allies scrambling for alternatives. Enter Canada, with its vast untapped reserves buried beneath its expansive landscapes. Carney, ever the visionary, seized a moment to announce a groundbreaking critical minerals partnership between Canada and Germany. For too long, he declared with conviction, Canadian minerals have been sitting idle on the ground while countries like Russia and China dominate the market. This isn't just rhetoric. It's a call to action. The partnership aims to turbocharge new natural resources projects, fostering collaboration that could unlock billions in economic potential. Picture Canadian mines buzzing with activity, extracting rare earth elements, lithium and cobalt, the lifeblood of modern technologies from electric vehicles to renewable energy systems. Germany, hungry for these materials to fuel its green transition, sees Canada as a reliable partner, free from the geopolitical strings attached to authoritarian suppliers. But this is more than economics. It's about strategic independence, building alliances that fortify democracies against global uncertainties. Not stopping there, Carney dropped another bombshell during his visit. Canada's long-awaited submarine purchase is now narrowed down to two fierce contenders. Suppliers from Germany and South Korea have made the shortlist, a decision that underscores Canada's push to modernize its naval fleet amid rising tensions in global waters. This isn't just about underwater vessels. It's a symbol of Canada's commitment to bolstering its defense capabilities, ensuring it can patrol its vast coastlines and contribute to international security efforts. As Carney embarks on his 5-day European whirlwind, these announcements paint a picture of a nation stepping out from the shadows, ready to play a pivotal role on the world stage. Yet, lurking beneath the surface is a story that's far more complex and contentious, one that involves Canada's biggest natural gas producer, Termin, and a deal that's supposed to be a game-changer, but is rapidly morphing into a full-blown crisis. On the surface, Termin's long-term supply agreement with Germany's Uniper looks like a slam dunk. Signed amid fanfare, it positions Ottawa as a heavyweight in global energy. Germany gets a secure stream of gas to replace the void left by severed Russian pipelines, while Canada flaunts its diversification beyond the U.S. market. Prime Minister Carney couldn't resist holding it up as evidence that Canada is no longer content being America's sidekick in the energy arena. We're stepping into the big leagues. The narrative went with visions of economic prosperity and geopolitical clout. The deal spans 8 years, kicking off in late 2028, with Termin committing to deliver a staggering 80,000 million BTUs of gas daily. That's roughly 234 billion cubic feet over the contract's life. Priced against the Dutch TTF hub, Europe's gold standard for gas trading, it seemed perfectly tuned to capitalize on higher European rates compared to North American benchmarks. For Canada, this was a chance to break free from the critics' chorus that its energy sector was trapped in a U.S.-centric bubble, missing out on lucrative international opportunities. Carney's government rolled out with pride diversification for Canada, security for Europe, a classic win-win that showcased bold leadership in a turbulent world. But oh, how quickly the tides can turn. What Carney and his team failed to anticipate was a ferocious backlash that would erupt almost immediately. Instead of solidifying Canada's stature, this deal pried open a Pandora's box of criticisms from home, Washington, and even corners of Europe. What was meant to be a triumphant stride has devolved into a political quagmire, with Carney scrambling to contain the damage. Let's peel back the layers. The crux of the issue? The gas isn't sailing directly from Canadian shores to German ports. There's no transatlantic pipeline miracle here. Instead, it's funneled through the ANR Southeast Trading Hub in Louisiana, smack in the heart of U.S. territory. This means Canada is essentially hitchhiking on American infrastructure. Pipelines, export terminals, and liquefied natural gas, LNG, facilities built with billions of U.S. dollars. Without this American backbone, not a single molecule of Canadian gas would reach Uniper's grasp. Carney pitched it as Canada's independent leap onto the global stage, but the reality is far more humbling. It's a piggyback ride that exposes just how intertwined independent Canada remains on its southern neighbor. The fallout was swift and merciless. U.S. energy lobbyists fired the opening salvos, decrying Canada's move as opportunistic freeloading. We've invested fortunes in Gulf Coast LNG terminals to boost our exports to Europe, they argued. And now Canada swoops in, uses our setup, and claims the glory? It didn't take long for Capitol Hill to echo these sentiments. Lawmakers back home in Canada, the storm is raging even fiercer. Opposition parties have pounced like wolves on a wounded deer. Conservatives are accusing Carney of prioritizing flashy European headlines over the sacred U.S. alliance, painting him as a leader with his hand caught in the diplomatic cookie jar. Even the NDP, typically supportive of assertive foreign policy, is raising alarms about overpromising and underdelivering. Carney's own words from earlier speeches haunt him now. We have to be clear with Canadians that this won't always be easy. What's happening in the global economy is not a transition. It's a rupture, a major change in a fast period of time. The U.S. is reshaping all its trading relationships, displacing workers, disrupting supply chains, and breeding uncertainty that's stifling investment and hiking unemployment. In this volatile backdrop, Carney's timing couldn't be worse. He's been crafting an image as a world-class economic maestro, capable of rubbing shoulders with titans like Trump in global energy forums. Instead, he comes across as impulsive, failing to game out the repercussions before the ink dried on the deal. And let's not overlook the market ramifications. This isn't just political theater. It's economic roulette. Termin's contract, linked to volatile European benchmarks, is a double-edged sword. Sky-high prices could mean windfalls, but plunges could spell disaster. If U.S.-Canada tensions inflate costs for accessing Gulf Coast hubs, those margins evaporate. Investors are jittery, with analysts peppering reports with warnings about geopolitical risks. Termin's executives are doubling down, insisting the fundamentals are rock solid, but the doubt lingers. Is this deal bulletproof or a house of cards? For Uniper, it's equally thorny. They sought smooth diversification, building on existing U.S. LNG ties, but now they're entangled in potential cross-border drama. If push comes to shove, whose side do they take? This saga illuminates a profound truth about Canada's energy predicament. It craves autonomy, yet its infrastructure and trade veins pulse through the U.S. Carney's attempt to frame this as a bold global pivot only spotlighted that dependency, turning a supposed achievement into a stark reminder of limitations. Don't confuse motion with progress. As critics are quick to point out, Carney's been globetrotting, snapping photos, and inking declarations that lack enforcement or funding, flashy but fleeting. For him personally, the stakes are sky-high. He's positioned himself as the ultimate technocrat, a savant of global markets. Yet here, he stumbles like a novice, inviting ridicule. What's next in this unfolding drama? Expect frantic damage control, hushed calls to Washington affirming unbreakable bonds, soothing reassurances to Berlin that the supply chain is ironclad, and nuanced messaging that nods to U.S. contributions while touting Canada's role. But the opposition won't relent. They'll wield every U.S. gripe as a cudgel, branding Carney as out of his depth. If tariffs or reviews loom, the pain could cascade from rhetoric to real hits on jobs and growth. This might cement a narrative of overreach, symbolizing not just one botched deal, but a pattern of misjudging Canada's leverage in a U.S.-dominated arena. Ultimately, this transcends a single contract. It's a litmus test for credibility. Can Canada deliver on its grand promises when it ventures abroad, or does it habitually overplay its hand and retreat into cleanup mode? For Germany, stability was a prize. Uncertainty is the payout. For the U.S., it's a nudge that Canada occasionally acts without foresight. And for Canadians, it sows seeds of doubt about Carney's acumen in navigating geopolitics' jagged edges. What was billed as an energy renaissance has morphed into a messy entanglement, underscoring Canada's tether to Washington. In politics, perception reigns supreme. If allies view Canada as sly, investors as risky, and voters as led by the reckless, even stellar deals sour. That's why this is exploding in Carney's face. Not for failing to deliver gas, but for bearing the frailties he aimed to conceal, entrenched U.S. reliance in his own statesmanly vulnerabilities. In the unforgiving arena of energy and diplomacy, paper winds crumble against reality's grind. For Carney, this was to be a crowning glory. Instead, it's a spectacular spill, with the world watching his scramble to rise. Will he recover? That's the million-dollar question. And that's the full scoop from us here at the Zone Media Network. I'm Griffin, your host, unpacking the twists and turns that keep global affairs so captivating. Head over to American Zone for freshest U.S. insights. You'll catch me there, too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you make